Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's class about crafting strategic management and executing strategic management. Okay, so as we begin our journey into the world of strategic management, so some students will be curious, so they will ask, why should I study strategic management? Okay, so there are many reasons. Okay, so some of the reasons, the key reasons includes it will help the organization to make better decisions. Okay, it will help them to succeed in competing in very competitive markets such as China. Okay, and also will help them to achieve their long-term goals. Okay, and also it will help them to achieve certain factors such as provides a clear direction. Okay, for example, it helps you to outline the company's mission, vision, and long-term goals. Okay, and act as a roadmap for the rest of the departments to follow. Okay, let's give an example of a clear direction. For example, Tesla. Okay, Tesla has a clear strategy to lead the EV market since the 15 years ago, founding days. Okay, and he has purely focused on innovation, battery technology, autonomous driving, etc. Okay, so in all these areas, ranging from R&D to marketing. Then another example is it helps you to gain a competitive advantage. Okay, stand out from the competition in a very intensely competitive environment. Okay, for example, IKEA. So IKEA use a cost leadership strategy by offering stylish, presentable, flat pack furniture at affordable prices. So it sets this apart from those traditional furniture shops which sell the pre-assembled products at higher prices. Sorry. So how does flat pack help the optimize shipping? Okay, there's a discussion for another day. Okay, next point is that finally it helps you to optimize the use of resources. Okay, ensure that company uses its resources, time, money, manpower, etc., more efficiently. Okay, like for example, AirAsia. Okay, being a low-cost airline. Okay, so he has certain strategy in place to ensure he has able to maintain their costs. For example, he has a single-use aircraft type to reduce the maintenance costs. Okay, and also offer additional optional services like baggage and meals, okay, if you want to have a meal while you're on board your flight. And this will help them to increase their profit, okay, and same time keep the prices low. Okay, next. Okay. Next, we will talk about what we will achieve together in this course. Okay. By the end of this course, you should be able to understand certain business strategy, evaluate the business environment, and also eventually be able to formulate your own strategies, okay, your own business strategy. So it's very important to understand the fundamentals of strategic management. So why is it important? Because if you need to know the basis, okay, the basics of strategic management, and it will help you to understand how businesses plan for long-term successes. For example, companies like Coca-Cola, IBM have been long for 100 over years. So it's not by accident they're able to survive for so long in an extremely competitive environment. Okay, so you also learn to understand basic concepts like mission, visions, goals, and SWOT analysis, etc. Okay. So imagine, let's say if you're a startup company, okay, you understand the fundamentals of strategy. So it will help you to better define your mission, okay, help you to shape how you make decisions and choose the right target market or the pricing model, etc. Okay. So thinking of this like learning how to drive a car before you set off on the road. You must learn how to drive a car. This is the basic, the fundamentals. Okay. Then the second one will be to analyze external, internal environments. Okay. To analyze your internal strengths and weaknesses, external threats and opportunities. Okay. Do a SWOT analysis. Okay. So that you'll make better informed and strategic decisions. Okay. So for example, let's say you have a fashion brand like Zara. Okay, you need to monitor the latest trends, right? Okay, what are the external trends right now? Okay, and also know tie it back to your in-house design strengths. What is the strength of your brand? Okay, so that you can have a viable strategy. Okay, so it's like checking the weather before you set out on a long trip. Before you go to Malaysia, you need to check the weather forecast, send your car for servicing and all that. So analyze internal and external environments. Okay. So the next point will be to explore strategy formulation and implementation. Okay. So it's just not enough to have good ideas. You must know how to formulate them, know how to implement them also. Okay. So to have a complete solution. Okay. So an example of this will be Netflix. Okay. They came up with a strategy to move from the DVDs, offering DVD rentals to live streaming, sorry, to movie streaming. So, so it has to implement this change, and it had to build infrastructure, acquire the licenses, and do rebranding. Okay. So example of this would be like not just planning the recipe, getting the recipe, but also know how to cook the meal and know how to present it well after cooking. Okay, so have complete solution. And lastly, we talk about strategic thinking. How do you apply it to real world scenarios? Okay, so strategic thinking, will helps you to solve problems, make decisions, and make adaptation in an increasingly complex, volatile world. Okay, so importantly, you must be able to bridge the gap between theory and practice. Okay, so for example, like during COVID-19, the restaurants, they apply a lot of strategic thinking. Like the customers cannot go to the restaurants and have their meal. Okay, so instead of that, they thinking to pivot to delivery using Grab Food, Food Panda, etc. Okay, to deliver the food to the customers. So they still managed to survive that 2, 3 year period when there was a lockdown and all that. Okay, and safe distance, safety distance and all that. Okay, so for this example, it would be like learning to play a sport by practicing. Okay, not just knowing the rules, you must know how to apply and play the sports. Okay. So what is strategy? Okay, what do you think is strategy? How does it apply to you? Okay. Uh, can you please scan the QR code below and input your answers into the Padlet? Okay. So the students will scan the QR code and input answer. Okay, so now we have some examples of strategy. Okay, so one student said that strategy is a plan to win, to beat your competitors, to win over their customers, and to gain market share. Okay, it's correct. And another student said that business strategy is the plan outlining how a company intends to achieve its long-term goals and how it will gain a competitive advantage and achieve sustainable growth. Okay, so these two are very good acceptable answers. Well done. So essentially, what is a strategy? Okay, a strategy is a plan of action to achieve long-term goals. Okay, so it's like a roadmap, detailed roadmap outlining how your company intends to achieve its long-term objective. Okay, not just be a fly-by-night, a short-term player, long-term objective. Okay, so it's also not about what a company does on a day-to-day basis. There is operational issues. Okay, but look at the bigger picture about where this company intends to go and how it plans to get there. Okay, so example of a corporate strategy, like for example in Apple. Okay, so Apple has been throughout the years been evolved around creating a very tightly integrated ecosystem. Okay, for example, the iMac, the iPad, and the iPhone all must be integrated, fully integrated. And their software, iOS, macOS, and the services iStore, all this must be fully integrated in a ecosystem so that the customer will have a seamless experience. Okay. So, and also if they are able to offer a seamless experience, then it will promote brand loyalty. And in that, they will be able to charge a premium pricing because it will make the cost of switching over to a competitive brand much higher. Okay. So their plan of action, their strategy is to have relentless innovation, focus on very good design, and controlling every aspect of their product life cycle. Okay. Another example will be like Netflix. Okay. Netflix initial strategy was to dominate the streaming entertainment market. So they want to disrupt the cable TV in the US, cable TV market in the US. Okay. By offering a huge library of on-demand content through their subscription basis. Okay. So as the market becoming more and more saturated, for example, you have Amazon TV, you have Prime and all that. Okay. Disney Channel, so many competitors coming in. So now their strategies evolve into investing heavily in original content production. So they become a production house. Okay. So that's the way they can differentiate themselves and attract and retain subscribers. So some of their examples of very successful in-house content include TV series like Squid Games from Korea, The Crown about the royal family in UK, and also the Spanish TV series called Money Heist. Okay. So now let's have an interactive poll. Which company do you think has the best strategy? Okay, which company do you think has the best strategy and why? Okay. So the student does the poll, and then finally, we discuss the answer. So the answer to the best strategy is subjective, okay, because it depends on a lot of factors, which are very dynamic, very fluid. For example, current market conditions, long-term sustainability, ethics, and etc. So an example of a company with a very strong strategy, okay, would be the chip company called NVIDIA. Okay, so NVIDIA has been very focused on supplying high performance GPUs. Initially, they started as a company supplying GPUs, graphic processor units for the gaming industry. Okay, and doing so, they managed to able to strategically position themselves as the forefront of AI and data center development. Okay, so what's the long-term strategy? To be the leading provider of accelerated computing. Okay, through continuous improvement in chip design. Okay, and they're able to integrate their software uh, platform called CUDA, CUDA. Okay, in a sense that it creates a moat for the competitors. So even you're able to get your hands on your NVIDIA chips, the hardware, you will not be able to optimize your usage of the hardware because you need a operating system or software from the NVIDIA called CUDA, CUDA. Okay, so much like Apple, they're able to create a moat, okay, so that their competitors will not be able to snatch away their market share so easily. Okay. So next we talk about strategic management process. Okay. So let's talk first about briefly about the vision and the mission of the company. Okay. So vision in a nutshell means that what the companies want to achieve in future, what they aspire to be ultimately, and where they intend to head to. That's vision. Okay. And mission defines the company purpose, what it does, why does it do it, for whom does it do that. Okay. It's about the core business and the values. Okay, let's give an example for easy understanding. Let's talk about vision. For example, the Luckin Coffee. Okay, so vision for Luckin Coffee is to become the leading coffee chain in China or even throughout the world. Okay, and to make high quality coffee accessible and convenient for everyone. So there's a vision of Luckin Coffee. So the mission will be to provide professionally prepared, high quality coffee and a convenient digital experience at affordable prices to their Chinese customers. Okay, so how do they achieve it? They want to achieve this by leveraging on technology, using QR code to place orders, rapid expansion, and a unique grab and go model. Okay, so their model, as opposed to Starbucks, will be more of a self-collect or delivery model, as opposed to Starbucks, whereby they will go to the store, sit down, spend 1 hour, 2 hours chit-chatting over coffee and all that. Okay, so there's a very different model compared to Starbucks. Okay, and next one will be the external analysis. Okay, look outside the companies. Are there any opportunities, any threats? Okay, so for example, for Luckin Coffee, what is the opportunities? Well, right now, there's a lot of Chinese customers who are increasingly opening to drinking coffee. Okay, and Luckin Coffee has managed to incorporate some very innovative features into the coffee. For example, there is a Thai, which is a liquor, which they able to integrate together with their coffee. So last year it was quite successful, okay, for this Thai coffee. Okay, and it's a novelty. It's something innovative which customers are willing to try. Okay, and the price point is not that high. Okay, and we have a digital, so they do not accept cash anymore. Only payment through WeChat and Alipay in China. Okay, and customers now are very busy trying to getting to school, trying to do their schoolwork done, trying to get their work done. Okay, so they want to have quick, easy access to food and beverages, convenient. Okay, and Starbucks always locate the cafe in premium malls, huge malls with premium pricing. So Luckin will just use smaller, cheaper locations. Okay, and most their business model is different, just grab and go or delivery to your office or to your house. Okay. Then how about threats? Okay, threats will be, for example, biggest threat will be currently be Starbucks. Okay, and also most of the older generation will prefer to drink Chinese tea rather than to have a coffee or other types of tea. Okay, and also price competition. Okay, let's talk about internal analysis. Okay, internal analysis, what is their strength? The strength will be the app-centric model, very modern. Okay, delivery system that's highly efficient. Okay, very able to scale up very quickly. Starbucks entered the China market in 1999. Today, it only has 4,700 outlets. Luckin entered the market, started in 2018. Okay, so in 8 years, they currently have 17,000 units, 17,000 outlets. So the speed they scale up is tremendous, very fast compared to more conservative Starbucks approach. Okay, then how about the weaknesses? The weaknesses, of course, brand recognition. Initially, it was not as established as Starbucks. Okay, profitability. Initially, in order to gain market share, they have to offer heavy discounting. Okay, rapid expansion. So all this led to losses. Okay, and also fraud. I think in 2019 they were caught by the US government. Okay, there were some irregularities in their financial reporting, so they suffered a bit of a hit, and fortunately they're able to recover from that. Okay. Then strategy formulation. So what kind of a game plan does the company has? Okay, so you have to choose specific actions like what is the mission, what is the vision, what is your strength, what is your weaknesses, okay, what are the opportunities, and how do you mitigate the threats? Okay, so that's your strategy formulation. So do you intend to market very aggressively, open thousands of small stores across China? Okay, or you want to have a more conservative approach? Okay, then how about your value proposition? Okay, you want high quality, low quality, affordable coffee, premium coffee? What is your value proposition? Okay, and pricing strategy. Pricing strategy, Luckin has also been using a heavily discounted price, buy one get one free and all that. But is it sustainable to have such a low pricing? Okay, and distribution. Focus on Luckin always focus on pickup stores and delivery. Okay, so there's no need for them to rent a huge premises in a premium mall for customers to sit down, because customers know that what they want. They know that Luckin model is based on pickup and delivery. Okay. Then finally, strategy implementation and evaluation. How do you put the plan into action? How do you organize resources? How do you assign the tasks? How do you execute the chosen strategy? Okay. So this is the entire process for managing strategic management. So let's talk about case study. Okay. Netflix, how did it manage to adapt its strategy over time from 1990s until 2025? Okay, so this is a time where I let the student form into groups. So they do some research and then they have some discussion. Then we elect a leader from each group to explain to us. Okay. So students now complete the discussion and start sharing. After the sharing, so I'll come in with my answer. Okay, Netflix started in 1997. Their business model then was to DVD rental. Uh, DVD rental. So a person will go online, okay, uh, select the DVD that he want to rent, okay, and then Netflix will collect the payment and then mail the DVD to the customer. Okay, so that's in 1997. Then eventually they decide to go more of a subscription model based on subscription. Okay, and then in 2000 they implemented the Netflix queue, meaning that currently these are the most popular DVDs available for rental. So if you want, you need to do a reservation for it. Okay, and in 2006 they came up with a video recommendation algorithm based on the customer's renting pattern. Okay, the trend they will propose certain recommended videos DVDs to the customer. Okay, in 2007 they started the video streaming model, and in 2011, uh, when it was starting to become very competitive, okay, Netflix came out with the first Netflix original TV series called House of Cards about President of the United States. Okay, and 2011 they started to expand outside of the US and Canada, and then they started this trend called binge watching. Netflix to launch a TV series show, maybe eight episodes of half an hour each, and then the customer will binge watch from afternoon until the night, okay, to complete the series. Okay, then you have a Netflix and chill, okay, and then you have expanding international expansion. So recently they have started to expand into merchandising. Okay, they have the Netflix towel and bags and all that, sofa, water bottles. Okay, and even you have Netflix popcorn for you to enjoy while you're watching a Netflix show. Okay, so that's the evolution of Netflix. So based on our understanding of strategic management up to this point, okay, so which of the following do you think is the most crucial element for a successful business strategy? Okay, so I'll ask the student to go to menti.com to take part in the poll. Okay, will the answer be clear vision, mission, strong competitive advantage, or adaptability to change? Okay, so student will go to menti.com and choose their answer. So which of the choice is correct? Okay, most of the students chose clear vision and mission. Okay, so I asked the leader to explain why this is your choice. Could you give some reasons? Okay, then I'll follow up with my own explanation. I will say that clear vision mission will serve as the foundational starting point, and it's like guiding like the North Star for everything else. Okay, without a clear mission vision, everything else will be directionless. You'll be running around like a headless chicken. Okay. So for example, vision, where are we going? If you don't know the destination, how can you plan the journey? How can you plan your resources? If you don't know where you are going, what you want to achieve in 5 years, 10 years. Okay. The next will be the mission. What's the company's purpose? why does it do what it do? For whom? And why does it exist? Okay, these are the reasons. And lastly will be the impact. Okay, what if the mission and vision are not clear, very murky, then different departments, different individuals might pull in different directions. So there will be a lot of wastage, a lot of conflicting priorities. Okay. So the mission and vision, in summary, will act like a well articulated roadmap. Okay, act as a common language and will provide understanding across all levels of the company, from HR to marketing to sales to product development. Everybody know what their goal is. They know what is the end game. Okay. So, for example, let's say if Amazon, they are not so customer focused. Okay, because one of their mottos is to be the Earth's most customer centric company. Okay, so they might not have made the investment in AWS, which is the Amazon Web Services, or Amazon Prime, the movie streaming arm of Amazon. Okay, which initially this investment seemed very risky, but right now it's bringing them a lot of profitability. The long-term profitability justify for their initial risk. Okay, and this is brought about because of their focus on customer service. Okay, on being customer centric, providing what the customer wants. Okay, I think due to time constraint, I think I should devote the following slides to explain about how I provide feedback and assess the students. Okay, so there are a few methods. Okay, so the few key methods I use are during classes, the formative purposes, I will use continuous feedback. Okay, I will guide learning during the process, allow students to make adjustment and improve before a final assessment. Okay, so what's the purpose of this? It's ongoing, regular throughout the unit of the course, and it focuses on a particular aspect at that moment of work, not just a general grade. Okay, and also it's actionable. I'm able to provide feedback on the spot. Okay, and timely because the feedback is given close to the time of learning activity. Okay, and can be informal, verbal, you know that. Okay, then the benefits, of course, is that allows for immediate intervention. If the student is not sure, also allows for immediate clarification. Okay. So how about verbal feedback during discussion? So for example, during a discussion, a case study, okay, I might interject with a question to probe them for deeper thinking. For example, what evidence do you think suggests supports that claim? Okay, and I might offer encouragement during a presentation, ask them some questions, okay, facilitate some peer feedback sessions, okay, so that gives them an opportunity to articulate their thoughts, okay, and also, of course, receive immediate responses, okay. So what's the benefit? It will actually foster critical thinking, okay, and strengthen their communication skills. Okay. And lastly, I can also use the technology enhanced feedback like I did earlier using Padlet, using Medity and all that. Also, a quiz tool we call Kahoot. Okay. So the benefits of this technology feedback tools are to provide immediate feedback on whether the answers is correct or incorrect, and also provide subsequent follow-up explanations. Okay. So this is good tools for managing larger classes, maybe 40 and above. Okay, so that the efforts of the teacher will not get diluted. So finally, about my own professional development. Okay, so as a lifelong learner, okay, I have recently in Q1 and Q2 of 2025 attended several courses in digital marketing and data analytics. Okay, so what is the purpose? Is to remain current with my industry knowledge, okay, and also to drive continuous development. continuous professional development in the industry. Okay. And also I have attended various conferences, training, seminars, all that with IAL, Institute of Adult Learning. Okay. And finally, also in discussion currently with various possible co-authors to publish some research journals, articles on VUCA in the supply chain industry. Okay, so the purpose of that is to seek expert and also maybe some peer endorsement in respected journals of the uh, industry that I'm interested in. Okay, mainly in the field of logistics and supply chain, as well as to brush up on my research methodology skills to make it current. Okay, so I'd like to thank you all for the time, and that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.